Welcome to Thursday Night Knives. I'm Bob DeMarco. Coming up, a gift from Fernando Salome, the new Rosecraft blades, Cane Creek Jack. And we give away the Ringed Inversion with Dirk Pinkerton, as mentioned over the past couple of weeks. Dirk's going to be joining us shortly here. Let me turn this. God, I'm blasting my ears out. There we go. I can be loud and bombastic sometimes. Anyway, Dirk will be joining us and helping us give this away. We'll have a chance to chat. You can ask him questions. If you don't know Dirk, maybe you're new to the knife game or the knife hobby. He is very well represented in all of our favorite companies with designs licensed to them across all of our favorite companies, in China. And then he has his own private line, his own Dirk Pinkerton line. That's a knife we're going to be giving away tonight. We're talking in the $300 range, beautifully made titanium frame lock. In this case, the Ringed Inversion, black model, different from my model. And I am getting a little jealous. This is beautiful, but mine has my special number on it. This is also serial number 166. Of a very limited line. Aberdeen Blades, excited for this one. Hello, Bob, Dirk, and Junkies. Aberdeen, hello to you, sir. Good to have you here with us. We'll be doing that tonight. Have a nice day. Nice to have you here. I love that new Farrier's Rasp buoy you have. Very cool. It's 3:11 p.m. on the West Coast. Happy Thursday, Junkalos. How could it be 3:11? What? That's crazy. Anyway, man, it's awesome to have you here, and very nice pickup. Cool videos from the Antique Weapons Show out there in California. Pete Davidson, nice to have you here, sir. Good day, Bob, Jim, and the rest of the junkies. Going to carry my Camillus CQB1 today. What is that? See, well, I know Close Quarter Battle 1, but I'm not familiar with that model. Today, the Holy Trinity, Delica, Endura, and Police in K390. That K390 patinas nicely. 1 carbon fiber, 1 titanium, and 1 brass. Can't help it. Well, you would be in serious violation of Knife Junkie rules if they were all the same materials. As it is, they're all the same steels, but we'll let that slide. Good to have you here. Ginger Fisher, also nice to have you here. 75, that is. I'm guessing you're close to my age. Evening, folks. He says, evening to you. That looks like quite a nice trout there in your hands there. Anthony Kitchen, nice to have you here. Anthony, I want to meet Dirk and win his knife. Dirk is a great guy. It'll be your pleasure to meet him for sure. And man, what a great guy he is indeed. But I'm not going to say but. And his knife right here under the knife cam is spectacular. We'll pull this out in a while. It's #knife in the comments. That's all you have to do. Starting now, we'll be giving this away at 11 o'clock. #knife. Dirk will be joining us in about 15 minutes here. Looking forward to that. Fernando Salome, I mentioned you in the upfront. Thank you so much, sir, for your gift. It's so cool. Evening, Knife Junkies, Bob, Jim. Good to be here. Driving to West Virginia to drop my load, then headed back to Dayton, Ohio. Then my weekend starts. Dayton, Ohio. Not unfamiliar with Dayton because I've been to the Wright Pat Air Force Base a number of times. And actually, my parents live far enough away that they don't live close. But congratulations. And not congratulations. It's nice to have you here. And I wanted to say thank you. And I'm going to show off this knife here. But first, I'm going to say JVF 15 euros. Happy night. Oh my gosh. Let me start that again. JVF. Nice to have you, man. Great to see you. 15 euros here. Happy night knives, fellas. Well, happy night knives to you. Thursday night knives to you, JVF. It's always nice to have you here. From one of my favorite countries one of the greatest countries I've ever visited, some of my favorite experiences over there in France. So nice to have you. Sorry, that was lame. In France. What do they say? Francais, I guess? Or is that the language? I'm sorry, JVF. That's a disgrace. I will just say, great to have you here. And I do love your culture, despite the fact that I regularly butcher your language. Speaking of butchering, let me show you this knife. that Fernando Salome sent me as a gift. My God, man, thank you so much. This thing is amazing. This is the Century Li from O Knife. And we've had some O knives come through the channel. We've given them away, and they are really nicely made knives, very well engineered, and just work great, and good materials and everything. And this one, man alive. So this, I got to be honest, this is not one I would get for myself. So I'm so glad, Fernando, that you got this for me, because I love it. But this is not one I would have gotten on my own, because I'm squeamish about cleavers. I'm squeamish about knives without overt points, we'll say. But I have a few, and this one by far is this appeals to me. I know that I could make that point work, but besides that, this is totally a gangster's knife right here. Like, if you can't make this knife work, you should just hand it in. And I love this thing. Amazing action, 4-inch or plus. I haven't even measured it. Might even be 4.1 or something like that inches. It's a huge slab of D2. This is okay. All right, I'm going to say exactly what I thought when I first got this knife. I was like, if I were a director of the next John Wick or that type of movie, I would have the bad guy have one of these, and he would cut off fingers with this to get information. This is, I mean, that's the first thing I thought, and I don't mean to be grim or gross. This is obviously a great work knife, and we'll dispatch a lot of boxes and send them into the outer darkness, where there is wailing and gnashing of teeth. But I also contest that it would be an awesome knife in a movie for chopping off fingers. Okay, I also want to thank JVF for being so generous. Look at this. He sent Jim 5 coffees through sendacoffee.com. Happy hot beverage for the man in the shadow who makes the live be alive. And JVF, away with words, as well as very generous. Thank you so much. Jim, thanks you so much. That's such a great gesture. And I love the man in the shadows. That's exactly what he is. The man behind the curtain making it work. Jeff W., nice to see you here, Jeff. How do I qualify for the giveaway? All you got to do, I got to say this a lot, #knife. That's all you got to do. You're here. And if you can type #knife in the comments, that qualifies you, period. And that one could be yours. A brief sip. The Sawyer pauses. Acid Test Kids, nice to have you here, Acid Test Kids. Peace to you, sir. Double peace, let's say. Nice to have you. I like that. I like your drawn avatar. Robert Douglas, always a pleasure, Robert. Even and all, might miss this live, so have a good one all, and hit that like. Okay, Robert, before you dip, #knife in the comments. Even if you're not here, you can win it. This old sword, nice to have you here, Dave. We are not worthy, Bob, Jim, and Dirk. Happy Thursday Night Knives. Well, I would say, Dave, put #knife in the comments, but I know you already have this beauty. Dave is always on the cutting edge of the coolest knives in my book. And also, he and Dirk are collaborators and friends, and it's cool to see. It's cool to have a little group of people who love a little group of people. It's obviously a huge group of people who like Dirk's designs, because, they're kind of ubiquitous, which is awesome. Blade Ogre, nice to have you here, sir. Hello, all, he says. Well, hello, all. Hello to you. Chris sent me a picture via Instagram of his recently completed knife, and it's pretty damn cool. I think it's the Spike, right? You call it the Spike, but it's a very cool looking knife. Split and Slices, nice to have you here. Howdy, Bob, Jim, Junkies, Dirk Pinkerton, another Thursday Night Knives. Hey, Byron, I emailed you, and then I think maybe, I don't know, I looked in my sent and I didn't see it, but hopefully, those knives are actually yours. They're not yours to check out. They are yours. So I look forward to getting those in the mail to you, sir. 5 Door, speaking of which, I got your package out to you. So I can't wait till you have that in your hands. I know you're someone who rely on a pry bar. So that'll be cool for you to have that beautiful pry bar from Northern Knives lynch clip and filthy rotten. No, you know who I'm talking about. Eugene Page, nice to have you here. Eugene, greetings from Wyoming. I'm talking about Paul Munko's Colorful Filth. Sorry, Paul Munko. His company is Colorful Filth. Eugene Page, Wyoming is a beautiful place. I know you don't need me to tell you that, but I've been there, but not since I was 11. It left a huge impression. Beautiful country. And I had a good friend in high school who would go out there and spend the summers breaking horses at a ranch. This guy, man. Bella Bear, nice to have you here. Bella Bear 88. My wife had surgery, so have missed many recent live streams. Well, God bless your wife. I hope she is having a swift and complete recovery. And I hope you are able to get in on the action on this evening and on evenings to come. Cole Long, nice to have you here. Hashtag knife. Well, you're in. Hashtag knife, Cole Long. I love this thing. I think you're going to like it too. I've been carrying mine a lot. Well, ever since I got it, pretty much, I'd say 80% of the time. I do have to rotate stuff, and I do want to rotate stuff. I have a wandering eye for knives, and it's starting to happen for cars, which is not good because my car is paid off and I'm not buying a new car, but it's starting to wander. Anyway, have a knife day, says like button smashed. Thank you. You know what? It's not necessary, but if you put hashtag knife in the comments, hit the like button. It's just good form. That's all. Benedict Doty, nice to have you here, Benedict. He's waving at the junkies, and we're waving back, sir. Good to have you. Jorge or George? Hello all. So stoked for this one. I hit the like. Awesome. And I had a friend who spelled it that way, who was George. And I also knew someone at a restaurant that I worked at who was Jorge. So I don't know how to pronounce your name, sir. George. I mean, Northern Knives. Mike, nice to have you here. Hello all from Alaska. Hello to you, sir. He is responsible for the package that went out just this week to you, sir, Doug. Ryan Walker. Hello, people. Well, hello, Ryan. It's a pleasure to have you here, sir. Steve-O Taylor. I work with a Steve-O. He's just a Steve, but we call him Steve-O. Always have. A belated Happy New Year from Australia. Well, Happy New Year to you. Nice to have you with us. Will be, as always, a pleasure, a gentleman and a junkie. Hey, Jim, Bob, and fellow junkies. Hello to you, Will. Are you in it? Are you in it to win it, Will? I know you are. Hashtag knife. Kilkenny, happy Thursday night, knives. All right, as I'm reading these comments, let me show you this. This is kind of cool. This is one I didn't put in my notes, but I showed this off on the Wednesday. You'll see this. You saw this yesterday on the Wednesday supplemental. Hero Sticks, nice to have you here, Hero. He says, evening and cheers all. Tuning in from Rwanda this week. Holy mackerel. Here in East Africa for most of February for work. Holy mac. That's cool. Man, I don't know what you're doing there, but God bless you. God look after you, and Godspeed on your way back here. James Moore, nice to have you here, sir. Good evening, all. Good evening to you. Look at this. Look at this. My good buddy Jaime from around the corner, from around the way, gave me this. He's had this for years. It was someone else's groomsman gift. Man, I thought I was doing it right by getting people cold steels. This was someone's groomsman gift. They didn't want any more, gave it to him, and he didn't want any more, so it came to me. And when he died, it came to me. I can't help it if I'm lucky. So this thing, I have determined that unless they're coming out of your forearms and are adamantium and rooted into your adamantium skeleton, swiping, slashing with a blade in this direction is very counterintuitive to me. I'm much more likely to go like that. Greg Vanderlip, nice to have you here. Smash that like, he says. Jim, I think I neglected that last comment. If you don't mind, I'd like to say hello to whomever that was. Cruise on Lock. Hey, nice to have you here. Hashtag knife, a slice of heaven being here. Well, it is such a pleasure having you here. I saluted you with 3 blades at once. Let me put this back before someone gets hurt. Cruise on Lock. So these are my 2 good buddies who are new to loving knives. Well, one actually has loved knives for a long time, and her significant other is now also loving knives, I think, which is pretty cool, because the utility. And some enter in for the utility, some enter in for the just the artfulness of it, some the self-protection, some, you know, all of the above. Oldest tool in the world, you know. Engineers appreciate that. Hero Sticks. Hey, y'all. Kaiser Mystics are back in stock. Oh, that's right. Oh, my goodness. The Kaiser Mystic, as a matter of fact, I believe I have mine. Oh, I don't have it out here. Probably my favorite folder from 2023. I love that. Another colorful filth design, Paul Munko. That thing is awesome. Based on his Mystic Connecticut, the maritime like whaling thing with the patinaing Rex 45 blade steel. Very cool. Donald Fry, nice to have you here, sir. Where were you when you cut the burger in two this week on the short? Certainly would have made an interesting thing at a local Wendy's. That was a local Wendy's. I was lunching with Jim, as a matter of fact. He was the cinematographer on that beauty. And yeah, that was a Dave's double. And you know, I see Scab Choir Boy's Cutlery always cutting his burger with some massive knife. And I gotta say, his burgers, I mean, he's always like at least triple stacked. So he has a big lunch, that guy. But he uses a big knife for it, and I always find it fun. So that was my tribute to him. And thank you to Fernando for the knife. Craig Vincent, howdy, Bob and Junkers. Well, Craig, always a pleasure. Good to have you here, sir. Hello. Hero Stick says, thinking of and missing my Pinkerton custom Smilodon. Oh, I don't have that. That lives by my bedside. Well, yeah, you can't. It's hard to travel to Rwanda with a Smilodon, I would imagine. But there have to be cool local knives in Rwanda. I have two. I guess this is Western Africa, and you're in Eastern Africa. But I have two Tuareg. I have a Tuareg dagger and a Tuareg sword on the wall over there. And who knows? Maybe they've entered that way. But my point is, we all know Africa has some really, really cool blade shapes and such. So that's your mission. That's your mission, hero. Find it. Greg Vanderlip says, oh man, I have a feeling this is a word not of my generation. 4 thumbs up and BIGE. Bige. Okay, Greg, I'm an idiot. Please explain. You can call me George. Thank you, Jorge. I appreciate that. Burnt toast. Even in junkies and junkettes, liked and knifed. Really crossing my fingers for this one. I hear you, burnt toast. I would be too. George, did you put hashtag knife, by the way? Make sure you do. Put it in the comments. Eugene Krabs. Hey, good to have you here, Eugene. Something about that K reminds me of the cover of old books, like from the 40s or 30s. I don't know. I like it. Hey, Bob, when does that knife become a sword? When does a knife become a sword? Loosely speaking, to me, you're starting to get into short sword territory when the blade is over 13 inches, in my opinion. But I also consider these are all 29 inches, basically like Filipino swords, except for a few exceptions. Some of the Sansabars and what's the big one? Oh, what's the big one? I know you're yelling it at your screen, but no, not the Taliban. Well, most of them are 30 inches, except for a few of them. And I find that very easy to wield with one hand, but then the swords get larger with the two hands. But I think I'm going to say over 13 inches in blade length, you're veering into short sword territory. Certainly at 15 to 17 inches, you're there. Split and Slices says, love the Wolverine claws. Bought a similar Halloween version of this for my friend from Smoky Mountain Knife Works. Yeah, so those claws are actually pretty darn sharp. They're very well rooted in that cast aluminum knuckle duster, and they actually have really nice micarta handle pads. So pretty cool. Lands you in jail, real quick. I'm gonna mount them on a secondary wall over there with the other setup, and yeah, I love it. And in a pinch, I could see in a movie, like in a movie, there would be a scene where a fight would be happening, like a life or death type fight. And despite the fact this entire room is wallpapered with swords and knives, that would be somehow accessed. And that would deliver the coup de grace in this movie. Kay Mason, nice to have you here, Kay, always. I worked with a dude that made something like those claws, had a brace down to the forearm. That is necessary. That is necessary. Do you guys remember a couple of years back, Tashi Barucha over there in France was making those beautiful Wolverine claws, and you gripped a sort of, well, you gripped a grip kind of like this in your hand, and then the claws kind of came up around and looked like they were protruding from your hands. Yeah, that was pretty cool. Let's see. Been trying to score a knife from Bamboo Forge for a weapon. Bamboo Forge? Love what they're doing. Do you mean Bamba Forge? The guy who was on Forged in Fire, who goes to Africa and has what's his name? And works with them and works with locals making knives. All right. Well, it looks like Dirk is here. We'll talk to him in 2 shakes of a lamb's tail. Bella Bear 88 says 15-inch to 17 inches. Got to pump those up. Those are rookie numbers. Yes, sir. I guess I must agree. Or Bella Bear, I guess. Yes, ma'am. Yes. I don't know. Craig Vincent says, so is an 18-inch machete or a 14-inch old hickory butcher knife type? Shit. Okay. All right. This was a trap. All right, maybe not. Maybe not 13 inches. Maybe 13 inches to 30 inches. You're dealing in Messer territory. But you know who's best to answer this? Probably is our guest tonight, Dirk Pinkerton, because one of the things I love about Dirk is that he has a real way with, you saw the knife I was showing you before. He also grinds his incredible custom knives. He's an amazing amazing craftsman of custom knives. And in these fixed blade knives, he's inspired heavily by ethnographic designs, blending ethnographic designs. This, for instance, was inspired by both the Bill Bagwell Hell's Bells buoy and not the Khanjar, the what is it? The Middle Eastern Qatar double-edged curved blade. I'll have to ask him to tell me what it is. Now, Khanjar, I don't know. We'll ask him. Now it's all blending together. But I love that paying homage to other cultures and knives from other times. Let's bring him on so I'm not waxing stupidic. Jeremy, nice to have you here, Jeremy. I missed the claws. Could you show them again? Certainly. Maybe we can get Dirk to make a version of these, his own version. Look at these. They are sharp. I got to say, it says designed by Tom Anderson, Master Cutlery, whoever they are. It's definitely aluminum. And there's some sort of goop. I mentioned this on the other show. There's something on there. I need to clean these off. I don't know where these were. The many years before they got to me. Dirk, nice to have you here, sir.
Hello. How's it going?
It's going great. How are you?
Tired.
Well, yeah, it's 10. It's 10, but we're excited to give away the ringed inversion. Actually, since we're talking about the ringed inversion, and Jim, we don't need the intro to this. I think maybe I'll just do my pocket check. This, of course, is your work. The beautiful Razorback. I love this thing.
I do too. I think that one turned out really nice.
It did. And Dave, this old sword, has his version, which has a longer spot for the thumb with the jimping up here and sort of a bayonet grind, and it's a broader blade. His is cool too, but I love mine. There are many like it, but this one is mine. All right. So let me do a pocket check, because I was, of course, carrying my ringed inversion today, and I'm
awesome.
Just off. So you got in touch with me and asked what serial number I wanted. Of course, I wanted 44, because that's been my favorite number since I was a little kid, and it's hard to read without my readers, but it's right there. 44. So beautiful orange peel texturing on this titanium frame lock. and wicked blade shape, which you okay, let's get that to focus for a sec. You changed from this reverse tanto from the Kaiser version.
Yes.
What went into making that change of blade shape? Oh my gosh, what's up with that? Let's let this get. So why did you change that blade shape?
Conversations with several people. Fieldworks, we had a good discussion about that, and I also had a couple of people that have taken the Kaiser inversion to Ed Calderon's class and had a chance to stick it in a pig. Performed well, but they did say that it, while it didn't take any damage, it was a little difficult to get into the bone in particular, into the skull. So taking all that into account, I decided that probably the better thing to do would be to make it a little more acute on the point and make that penetration a little easier for people, and forego worrying too much about overall tip strength and just let performance win the day.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. This is not necessarily something you're going to be batoning wood with, or you're not going to be using that tip for much other than what it's intended for. However, which is a self-defense thing. Pedro Armstrong, I sadly recently sold my little Main Street designed by him. Get it back. Get yourself a large Main Street. But what I was going to say was for this knife here, actually the inversion with the reverse tanto. Yo, Dirk, says Dave.
Hey, Dave.
Dave's the best. This version of the inversion with that reverse tanto is a really great utility knife. Actually, this will be too if I take that ring off. That ring, yes. You can swap it on and off, just like you can swap on a deep carry pocket clip or a well, I guess I should show that right now. But you can change the setup of this, and without the ring, it's actually a very, very useful all around sort of utility knife.
Yeah,
especially with that curve. So
that was a happy accident, actually.
Nice.
Not my intent at all, and it just seemed to work out that way. So I'm kind of embraced it a little bit with the redesign, with the handle shape, wanting to give a little bit. In my opinion, I felt that the new swell, as opposed to the finger groove, a finger notch, I think for me gives a little more of a secure grip, and then allows better use as a utility knife if you so choose to use it that way.
Yeah, right. I could see there's less of a drop off here, but you still get that swell still gives you something to pull on, for lack of a better term.
Yes.
I just want to show this off real quick. It also comes with this cool little Pelican-esque case. 166 is the serial number, but it also has underneath here a really nice deep carry pocket clip, folded over titanium with that, I don't know what that is, anodizing, I guess.
No, that's PVD.
PVD, okay. And then a thumb disc. If you don't want the wave opener, the wave style opener, and what I mean by that is this opener here catches on your pocket as you pull it out of your pocket, draws the blade, so it's you instantly have this Pikal master in your hand. So yeah, you can reconfigure it in ways that are less menacing or more utilitarian. You can take the ring off, and there are standoffs under there, and yeah, it's great. This old sword says ringed Pikal is the most secure in the hand, second only to Dirk's custom hybrid Smilodon I own. Oh my God, Dave. Okay, so you guys, obviously there's a lot to like about Dirk Pinkerton, and if you want about his designs, also he's a great guy, but if there's like such a wide range in his designs, and if you want to see the full range of his designs, check out Dave's channel, because he's got the ultimate Pinkerton collection, including many sweet customs. Ron Meeg, nice to have you here, Ron. I need to win this. I need it. So let me ask you, I would need to win this too if I wasn't someone who was lucky enough to already have gotten in on the pre-order of this. So let me ask you, my chair keeps shrinking down. Do you have plans to re-embark on a wider production model, like say Kaiser or one of those companies? Maybe beyond EDC.
Yeah, I'm talking to a couple of companies to see if they're interested. The big issue is still the fact that it is the design itself does kind of limit its utility, or well, not utility. That's not the right word. Marketability, I think, is the correct word there, to a very broad audience. So it's probably going to live with me under my logo for the foreseeable future, which I don't have a problem with that. That gives me a little more freedom to do what I want to do with it, instead of letting the factory decide, hey, we need to tweak this, or we want to do this, or, the things they need to do for mass production. So I can make the changes I want when I want. And not that I don't think this one really needs a lot of changes. I think there might be a few minor tweaks more aesthetically than anything else, but I think I've got this dialed in almost to where I want it.
Oh, man.
The only other thing that would be coming down the pipeline, and I'm in the process of evaluating some liner lock versions, some more budget-friendly versions.
Okay, all right, major flex here. I don't mean to be like, oh, you mean like this? So I am also lucky enough to have this prototype, which is, a prototype that led up to this. Dave has one of these. You mentioned Fieldworks, Ryan Atkinson, who is off. I think he's bodyguarding Taylor Swift right now. Recently, he was with Drake. So excuse me, he bodyguards like some super duper, like the most A-list out there.
Exactly.
And he's got an incredible collection of Pakal style knives and other like fixed blade and other kind of self-defense knives, but he's got a nice collection of your stuff too.
He does indeed, yes.
And
very good source of knowledge too.
Oh yeah. K Mason says very nice revisions. Yeah,
Thank you.
Yeah, I love it. And it's nice and light. And I love the texture on the scales. Just beautiful.
Yeah, that is a much more a traditional orange peel finish than the prototypes that you got to handle with look more like stippling. We ended up going with this traditional orange peel, which basically, from my experience, is developed through a dull abrasive media, so a dull belt or a dull Scotch-Brite brush or something. And what it kind of does is it creates a heat in the titanium and causes it to kind of smear, if you will. Whereas the original prototype that you saw had stippling in it, and more like holes and more actual texturing that was physically generated, where it's something penetrated into the titanium to create that divot. And the reason that changed was the stress that was induced by that process. So if we stayed with that process, we would have to go through and stress relieve all the titanium frames, which would add another step to the process and add another few dollars to the price tag.
Right. Pete Davidson says, hi, Dirk. Love your variable series of knives. Such a great and practical concept.
Excellent. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Low Country Hillbilly, good to have you here, sir. What up, knife people? Well, what up, Low Country? It's good to have you here. All you got to do, sir, Low Country, I'm not sure if you're just joining us, but #knife, one and all, if you want to win, not this one, but this one that I sort of love even more. I don't know. I go back and forth. I love that black blade. It's just so beautiful. So whoever's winning this is lucking out seriously in the black ring, and all of them have black clips, which is key. I think black clips are key, especially on tactically or self-defense minded knives. Bella Bear 88 says, comment on liner locks versus frame locks.
Okay. I guess it depends on what you're using it for. They both have their places. They both have their strong suits. I think overall, for me, if I'm using something heavy use or a tactical situation or self-defense tool, I would look to a frame lock first, and then to a liner lock. A liner lock will work very well if it's designed properly for the purpose you want to use it for. So a self-defense liner lock, perfect example, the prototype you have of the liner lock inversion. The way I designed that, it's nested. You don't have easy access to the lock, so it's not going to accidentally disengage. So while it's inconvenient for some people to be able to unlock it, the point is not to be able to unlock it easily. The point is it's locked, and you're not going to accidentally unlock it while you're using it in a dynamic situation.
Here is a tactical knife that you designed, your modern take on the Spanish Navaja. This is, oh man, I love this knife, and I love its liner lock brother. But this is a frame lock, and it's a heavy titanium. You know, you got heavy titanium slabs on both sides, with a pretty stout lock, and then with your hand reinforcing that lock, it is, you know, it's hard to beat that.
Very
Anthony
much so.
Kitchen, nice to have you here, Anthony. I think your designs are great. Thank you, man. Oh, you're talking to Dirk. I think your designs are great, Dirk. It's great to hear from you this evening.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that, and it's I'm really glad to be here. Thank you.
I couldn't agree more. Don't mean to ham it up, and it is true. His stuff is amazing. Low Country says, Dirk, love your work, but this one is really speaking to me. Just got the resource you need. Excellent. That, Bob. Just got the resource you need. That, Bob. All right. Well, hashtag knife, man. Put it in there, and it's all yours. Let me show you what else I was carrying, and we will continue to talk about this. Actually, I will leave out both of these so you can see. The one on top is the one that you stand to win tonight. And then this is mine. And I'm going to show you what else I was carrying today. And then we'll find out from y'all. Yeah. Been in Virginia for 12 years, and I'm saying y'all. Here you go. This was the Gunslinger Jack from Jack Wolf Knives, the last release. I just love this knife so much. I love the, what do you call it? The ergonomics of the gun stock handle, and the really super stout pull, the deep hollow grind on the S90V blade and all that. But I just love the looks of this. I love that dark blue and the black. It just looks so awesome. This was on baguette duty today. So.
That is a beautiful knife. He does some great designs there. Absolutely.
He does. His new one is the second run of the Midnight Jack, which was probably his. I think it was the favorite. That's the coffin handled sheep's foot blade that came out. I think it was his third release way back when. Dwayne Letterman, nice to have you here, sir. Evening, everybody. Well, Dwayne, get yourself to the comment section again and put in hashtag knife. That way you stand to win the Dirk Pinkerton Ringed Inversion here tonight. This is a very, very special giveaway. This is serial number 166, by the way. These were all serialized. How many of these did you make or have made?
201.
Love it. 201.
201. It was actually, I think they gifted me the extra one. So I was not expecting that. Cool. I serial numbered up to 200, and then 201 showed up. So I kept 201. That's mine.
So 201's the one you throw down the sewer grate after you use it, because it's not numbered and no one can trade. Oh, I'm just kidding. Triple E EDC, good to have you here. Hey, everyone, he says. Well, hello to you, sir. Again, I'm going to say it again, hashtag knife. I'm going to say it a bunch of times because we only have 20 minutes until we give this away. And I mean, this is a pretty special giveaway. So Josh 33025. That's a zip code, I'm betting. Either that or an artillery coordinate. But is there a difference? It's like the older Spyderco's. It looks weird, so I must have it. Nice. You're thinking of the old Spyderco Pikal, probably. Fairfax County for life. Triple E EDC. Really? Haha. You're going to like my new background. I'm working on a background. It's pretty cool. Low Country Hillbilly. Any plans for an XL Escort?
I have talked to Kaiser. We've looked at doing a smaller version. We've talked about doing a larger version, and it's pretty much in their court. So I think if you're interested in that, start bugging Kaiser and tell them that's what you want to see, because I only have so much influence. They want to hear the people that are buying it what they want. So give them a call, give them an email, get out there and say, hey, this is what I want. And you get enough voice going, they'll produce it.
Cool. Doug Bull, nice to have you here. Greetings, Bob and everyone. Hey, Dirk, tell us about what's your brand new knife called? I just saw it in Jared Neve's video, maybe. That folder is so beautiful with the great handle and the recurve drop point. What is that called? Tell us about that.
It's called the Kami, which is it's not the Kami from Japan. Kami is what Nepalese blacksmiths are called.
Okay, so not Kami like Kami bastard.
Exactly, not that one either. No.
Okay.
Kami.
Kami. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah. So the new knife is. I don't want to call it a direct kukri, but it's heavily influenced by the kukri. So kukri, a kopis, actually, now that it's been produced in a prototype and I look at it, it actually strikes me more of a kopis than a kukri, because the blades, it doesn't have quite the drop that a kukri does. It's a little straighter, but still, that was the influence where I came from with that. Actually, to be brutally honest and not hiding anything, I saw Jason Knight's folders and I was taken with them. I was just like, that is freaking awesome.
The MK Ultra, one of my favorites.
Yeah. So I couldn't get that out of my head. So I just started playing with it. And so, all credit to him for influencing me on that. That's where that really comes from.
The Kami, when does that become available?
That's a good question. They have not given me a definitive date. We should have it, I hope, definitely by Blade, but I think it's supposed to be before Blade.
Okay, and that's Artisan?
Yes.
Okay, sweet. I love Artisan. Pete Davidson says, Dirk, do you have any plans for more variable blade shapes? Just noticed the Warncliffe Kaiser version, $60 here in Australia, bargain. Are you talking about, what's he talking about? Are you talking about the broadhead?
Yeah, I think that's what he's going with, the variable series. So you have the Kaiser's doing the warning. They're doing the claw. And then if I can get them to pick it up, they would do the broadhead. So that's part of that family. So I'm really hoping we can convince them to pick it up, but I think they're a little afraid of the dagger concept and what that would it would cause them some concern with exports and stuff.
Yeah, and there's no bigger buzzkill than a perfect dagger shape with only one sharp edge. Triple E EDC says, does the Kami, and by the way, it's Kami, like the maker of a kukri, but I like Kami, like, does the Kami come in red? Okay, I got it. All right. It took me a second. All right. Huh. We're dealing with a punster.
Exactly.
Ron Meeg says, I like 8 inches and below fixed blades. Yeah. All right, Ron, do you like the street buoy from Spyderco? I do too, but I'll tell you what you shouldn't do with it is throw it randomly at doors. I have a door. It's not a door. What I'm talking about, it's an old desk, and it finally, expired, and I put it out, and I have the tabletop near my trash cans, and I throw knives at it. And I was out cleaning up in the backyard, and I had this in my belt, and I did a Jason Bourne thing, like, I'm going to surprise the door, and I pulled it out of my belt and I whipped it at the door, but I was at a weird angle, and I threw it hard, and it hit at an angle, and then went and I heard it, and I was like, I'm such an idiot. God, why am I such an idiot? Like, Like maybe if there was a guy running up on me, yeah, that'd be appropriate. But the door did it in. So I'll have you know VG10 heat treated for a self-defense knife is not a good thrower. So
Definitely.
I'm gonna grind that down and make a little sax or something. George says kami are Japanese gods too. Oh,
Yes,
okay.
that's true. That's right.
Oh, that's cool. 1 minute knife review. Nice to have you here, sir. Hello, everybody. He says, hey, 1 minute knife review. Don't forget #knife if you want to win the Dirk Pinkerton Ringed Inversion. This one, Rachia. Serial numbered 166 out of 201 or out of 200 serialized. This one is mine, 44. You cannot have that. I had this in my pocket. Let me show you what else I had with me. Now, this one, I don't know, the past week, I have not carried a fixed blade. Actually, I'll be honest, the last 2 weeks, I haven't carried a fixed blade because the last 2 weeks, I've been trying to slim down a little bit because I've just been kind of going at it. And I carry in the waistband. So I've just been bringing knives and keeping them in my bag and locking that up. But just in case I happen to need one, I've had this, the Kami Bastard. Yes, exactly, is the sword version. This was my clang. Ouch, says Kitchen. Anthony Kitchen. Speaking of Kitchen, this is actually based on the kitchen knives that were converted into trench knives in France during World War I, especially at the outset. This is from Station 9 Knives. They're very cool. They're the makers of this knuckle duster, this Hungarian knuckle duster from World War I that I've shown you. This is aluminum, not an original, of course. And then these OSS lapel daggers, which are so cool. So yeah, this was in the bag just in case. And what is it? It's a big butcher knife with a swedge. I mean, that's what they did to turn it into a trench knife. They ground the false edge in there to make it easier for penetration. And but it does have quite a belly, a little bit more of a belly than a traditional French chef's knife, which would have more of a straight. I'm thinking, right?
Can't answer that question for you.
Yeah. All right. Well, you know more about various ethnic knives than I do. But yeah, love this thing. And
It looks good.
It's got the what is it? Burlap micarta. I love burlap micarta. All right, and last, I had a Sencut on me, the Sencut Arc Blast, kind of a funny name. Some of their names are funny, but better than numbers with this blue anodized aluminum. I think it's beautiful. They sent this one to me a while back, knowing that I'm sympathetic to their cause, a fellow traveler, if you will. I just love Sencut Civivi, and by extension, Wii, but I don't really have any Wii knives. They're a little too high end for what they are, or like for what they are. I don't care to spend that much on that kind of knife. I'd spend that money, but it would be more tactical, less beautiful, you know. But this is awesome. I love the button lock. So when you're designing a knife, like for instance, you have let's talk about this for a second. The Main Street, one of your, I don't know, it seems to me from my perspective, one of your most popular and successful designs in the last, couple of years here. It's
Yeah,
such a great knife, and it comes in a smaller size too. This is from the very first run where it says Little Main Street, which is cool.
Oops.
Collector's item. It's my retirement plan right here.
Yeah, I wish.
But what was I getting about this? Oh, the Warncliffe and oh, I'm sorry. Is that your gato?
Yes, it is. She wants attention.
Is she Siamese in any way?
No, she's not. She's just loud.
Oh, okay. Because I had a black cat that was part Siamese, and we'd have full on conversation. As long as I would answer back, she would answer me.
Yep, same thing here.
But anyway, what I was getting at with picking this up is that you've designed this with numerous different locks at this point, right? Originally the liner lock, and then you have a bar lock, right?
Yes. Yeah, It's their version of the Axis lock, and they've actually, I think Dave had it on his channel recently, where they've made it an adjustable spring too.
Oh, that's right, with the Ultim scales, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that part was all them. They decided that would be a good way to go with that, and I couldn't disagree at all. I mean, it looks perfect. It worked out perfect.
So do you send them when they say, "Oh, we're going to do this in a bar lock"? Do you do that design, or do they just kind of take the design and bar lock it?
So that's kind of I can't answer that definitively one way or the other. It kind of works. Sometimes they will say, "Hey, we're thinking of this," and they'll ask for input. Sometimes they just do it.
Okay.
I would say more often than not, they just do it and say, "Oh yeah, by the way, just to let you know, we did this." Um,
How,
so
you mind my asking, as the designer, how do you feel about that?
that doesn't bother me too much because they're not really changing the overall concept of the knife.
Okay.
If they're coming out and really changing it around and then saying, "Hey, we're going to call it the Main Street and we've turned it into a Bowie," then I would have an issue.
Okay.
But yeah, hey, we want to do a different lock. That's fine.
Yeah, in a way, it's like, yeah, go for it. That sounds like a pain in the ass to design. You do it.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, that's fine with me. That you do that work. I've got the basic layout, the way I want it. As long as you're not changing the overall vibe of the knife for me, I'm good. Change the lock. You want to make it a button lock, bar lock, knock yourself out.
This would make a great button lock too. I really do like the button lock as a fidgeter, and the bar lock, of course, is a classic.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
this spent a lot of time in the waistband for me for about the first year I had it. This was uh, I, I wasn't carrying fixed blades at that time, and this was slender and just perfect to have in there all the time. Fernando Salome says, "Hi, Dirk."
Hi, Fernando.
Yeah, he loves. He sent me that big O knife I was showing off before. You've designed a cleaver. The recent Shielden, and it's not on this table, but what? Tell us about that. That knife to me is a little bit off of the beaten path for you, but in a
It
way,
is.
not.
It's well, the name kind of describes it. It's called the Gambit. Um, Shielded contacted me, wanted to work with me, and I was all for it. Sure, why not? And asked them what they were looking for, and They said we want to do a cleaver, and I said, "Are you sure? Because cleavers aren't necessarily the thing right now." They said, "Yes, got to do a cleaver." So they sent me a picture of one of my fixed blade cleavers I did. Wow, probably 10 years ago. They said, "We want to do this." Okay, I'll do it. So I came up with the design as a folder, and this is what we got: the Gambit. I think it actually. I'm not a huge cleaver fan, but I think it turned out. I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. Shielded does really good work. They were originally strictly OEM. They didn't put their name on anything, and then they just recently decided they wanted to get into the game.
Yeah.
And that's part of the reason they contacted me and a few other designers. And yeah, I went with Gambit because it's, as I said, I'm not big into cleavers, and it was a gamble for me on doing
Yeah.
this. I wasn't sure how it was going to turn out, and they were adamant it had to be a front flipper. And I understand people like front flippers. I'm not a huge fan of them. So
Yeah.
that was it.
I like all the holes on the blade. Running along the top, because you can reverse flick it in any number of spots along the blade.
Yeah,
If you like the reverse finger flick.
it worked out well.
Yeah.
That was their idea, actually. They wanted to spice up the blade a little bit, and we played around with the holes, the different configurations, and that's the one we ended up with. And I felt that was a better choice, mainly because it, as you said, it gave you a little bit extra traction for different finger flick, different openings.
And also slow rolling, which I like to do, and sometimes you have to do, especially when you're
Absolutely.
when you're cutting open your baguette at work.
Exactly. You're
Yeah.
exactly right. The slow
Yeah.
roll is very cool, very stylish, very retro.
Very retro. I love it. Oh, okay. All right. My wife just ducked in and informed me that. Oh, okay. Yeah. Looks like I got socked. Yeah, the slow roll, it is retro, but sometimes it's necessary. And I gotta say, washer knives. I'm still a huge fan of knives without ball bearings.
Me too.
Though I mean, I love that feel, the hydraulic feel. I think that's a funny term, but it is a real thing.
It's a good description, absolutely. And to me, it's not a fair statement for me to say this, but in the back of my head, I think this all the time. You want to prove how good of an engineer you are and putting things together and making a design work. If you can make a good folder with washers, make it feel hydraulic, clean, smooth, then you really know what you're doing. It's a little easier to make ball bearings feel
Mhm.
smooth and function easily than washers. And I think that's why Chris Reeves has been the standard forever, because he was the first one to bring that level of engineering to a folder where he put the washers in there and it felt perfect. There was no flaws, there was no variation. He nailed it and he got it to work. And that's why it is the standard.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. It's all about those tolerances. And I think, let's see, Low Country says, I love washers and Spyderco FRN. I'm not afraid to say it. Uh, yeah, those tight tolerances really stand out. And that, but also, like, it's the same reason why Kershaw and so many other companies with their low budget knives, their big box store knives, use the spring assist, because it's going to make it feel smooth. It's going to force its way to feel smooth every time because it's
Exactly.
spring assisted. Anthony
Exactly.
Kitchen says, yes, agreed. The washer and tight tolerances. Who does washers really well is Best Tech, and it was a surprise to me.
Yeah.
Not a surprise that Best Tech did a great job, but everything I've ever experienced from them is super smooth on ball bearings and drop shut. But I got this knife that I thought was American made by an old frogman barefoot in his shop in North Carolina. And because it was marketed it is marketed by Resco Instruments. They make Navy SEAL watches and tactical watches, and they've made a couple of knives. And this one folder they make is amazing, and it really has the vibe of like Chris Reeve Sabenza meets Spartan Hersey folder. So I thought it was. I just made the assumption that it was American made, and then found out later it was made by Best Tech, and it really has a very different feel than anything else that I've had by them. So it's just cool to see that they can flex, that companies can flex in that direction, even though it's not the popular thing right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would like to see that done a little more, in my opinion. Um, Mainly just to show what your skill levels are. I understand they want to make a buck. I get that. I understand it. But it's sometimes, just as being a craftsman doing these things, you want to know, what are you really capable of? You make a great knife with bearings, you do these, it looks great, but challenge yourself a little bit. Show me what you can do. Get out of your comfort zone. And not too many companies are willing to do that. And it's good to know Best Tech is willing to do that. It really is. I want to try and get. I think I want to try and get that with some of the companies I work with, just to put it out there and see if they'd be willing to give it a try and see what kind of reaction I would get.
I think that coming from you, it would make a difference rather than just coming from random voices on the internet saying we want washers. If you come to those people and bring them sound designs and show them, how great it feels. This almost has that feel when you close it. It's not exactly drop shut. It's very definitely on washers, but it has that nice closing feel.
Yeah,
Um, and
exactly.
It's time. It's 11 o'clock. Pete Davidson says, never understood the need for bearings and drop shut action. I have plenty of lock back Spydercos that are smooth and drop when the lock is disengaged, much like the cold steel back locks, the triad locks and stuff. But really what it's about is just watch your fingertips. It's just about the repetitive, it's about the fidget. This is like a fidget toy.
Yep.
Like those spinner
Exactly.
things, except this just has a blade and you look slightly cooler. You're just a lot more annoying to the people around you and a little more menacing. Yama Wizard, nice to have you here, sir. I absolutely love the giveaway knife. Well, make sure that in the next 60 seconds, you put beautiful design, he says.
Thank you.
That you put hashtag knife because in 45 seconds, we're doing it. 45 seconds.
Outstanding.
Yep. All right. This is cool. So how we do this, Dirk, when we do giveaways here, we have, this platform here has its own random number generator. People put that hashtag knife in the comments. The random number generator just sort of selects, or I guess it's a random comment generator, selects one and keeps us on tenterhooks for a short period of time and cycles through the names and then bam, selects it. Oh man, your cat is cracking me up. He's like, "You've been giving me kibble all day. It's time for my
she's
wet
not
food.
happy. She wants
time
chow.
for my wet food." All right, well, tell her she's got to wait just 2 more minutes. Hobbyist, nice to have you here, sir. I saw you were here before, but it's Pokey for sure, no doubt. Pokey. All righty, sir. Let us do this. Dirk, I will let you count down. I will ask you to count down from 3, and let's do this. Let's give this knife away.
All right, let's go. 3, 2, 1, go.
All right. Let's see. It's going to slow down and you're going to think that it's you and it might not be you. So just. Oh, Michael Young. Michael Young, you are the winner, Michael Young.
Congratulations, Michael.
This is cool. This is yours, sir. This beautiful Pinkerton inversion is yours. Please be sure to email your address to me at TheKnifeJunkie.com or at bob@TheKnifeJunkie.com or actually, no. Send it to TheKnifeJunkie@gmail.com. Do that instead. I will get this in the mail to you post haste. Congratulations, Dirk. I want to thank you so much for giving us this and giving this to the channel. Dave says, congratulations, Michael. So this was mine for a brief period of time, and it is officially no longer mine. For a while, I had 2 of these beautiful ringed inversions, but he got this awesome black one. I have number 44, the one and only. And I love it. So thank you for these, sir. I do appreciate it.
Absolutely. And hey, Michael, if you feel up to it, once you receive it, post it, picture of it, Instagram, tag me. Definitely.
He says, Michael Young says, this is so cool. Thank you.
You're most welcome.
Yeah. And you can thank me too for letting it go, because really they say possession is 9/10 of the law. I'm just kidding. I'm not that greedy. No, it's cool. And actually I feel honored and, kind of like a high roller that I'm giving this away and that had you on the show to do so. That's pretty badass. Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
If you'd like to go feed the cat and come back and join us, feel free. If you need to dip, feel free. If you'd like to stay till midnight, till the break of dawn, feel free. We'd love to have you.
Yeah, I'll go feed her real quick and then I'll be back in.
Okay. All right, cool. We'll see you in a second. And in the meantime, let me see. I got a couple of knives I can show off here. I got a couple of new ones, 2 new ones. Well, actually, one new one is mine, and I have something else to show. This is actually, I have 2 other things to show. Here, this one came to me from Microtech to Jock. This is Jock's knife's knife. This is Jock's knife. from Jock's Knife. This is his. And I'm really psyched that he sent this through me to him. Now, he sent last 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago the Stump Lifter. That's the collaboration with Blade HQ and Advanced Knife Bro, the really nice beer themed slip joint. And I'll be sending that to him. But he said, hold off on sending that because I'm going to send a stitch through you. So I got to say, this is my first time with a stitch in hand, and it is just spectacular. It's got the ram lock, and thanks for giving us all a chance, both of you. Oh, our pleasure. I can speak for both of us. It's our pleasure. Low Country says, thanks for the great knives, Dirk. Definitely he will see that and like that. Yeah, so this Microtech ram lock stitch, what do you guys think of it? I think it's pretty awesome, but I must say, choil's too big. I mean, I guess I've been dancing around that for years. I feel like the stitch, I feel like the choil is too big. I feel like they could have had a choil that was like this, and you had another 3/4 of an inch of cutting edge there. And I don't know. I guess this is for Halo skydivers with big gloves. Oh, there's a fragmentation grenade on there. I'm not sure what that's about, but see that? So anyway, I don't mean to besmirch this venerable design. I really like it a lot, and it feels great in hand, and it's really cool to use. But I got to say, I'm not to use. I haven't used it. Really cool to heft. But I have to say, I'm more inclined to hold it in this sort of saber grip, which really leaves that gap wide open. But I do like how this magnificently large choil has jimping. That's cool. And I mean, everything about this is style. This is a Borka design, and his designs are stunning. But right, this is a Borka design. Yeah, right there, Borka blades. But no buts, just cool. I'm so glad I had a chance to check this out. Microtechs are just so incredibly made. I love this sort of Sebenza-oid bent clip with the partition there. Oddly gigantic screws there. It's almost defiantly huge up there in the in the clip well. But overall, a super cool knife. Thank you, Jock. And I'll get this. I want to do a close-up video of it and kind of show it off, and then I'll get this in the mail to you sometime in 2024. No, I'm just kidding. I'll get this in the mail to you by next week. So if you're watching, which I don't think you are. Blade Ogre carried the Clever Girl, the blue and black Buck Sprint Ops Pro, the Monterey Bay Knives Old Guard. I've been carrying this Monterey Bay Knives the Turbo past couple of days. I haven't paid much mind to that in a while. So the Hardcore Hardware MILF, the GEC Granddaddy Barlow. Oh, that's so sweet. The Otter Messer Beekeeper, Tactile Maverick, Bastinelli Mako. Love that design. The Custom Dino Spike and the Sleazy Ogre. Now, those two are his knives. The first one, the Dino Spike, he made himself. And the Sleazy Ogre is his design as made by Brass Brigade, Jason. Over there at Brass Brigade. This old sword says Pinkerton Fan Day, Ringed Inversion. Okay, this is your carry today. Pinkerton Fan Day, Ringed Inversion, Beyond EDC Night Horse, the Navaja I showed off before, the custom Pinkerton Fire Ant. That's awesome. That's this one right here. The Concept Main Street Bar Lock. Oh, that's sweet. That's the Knife Center. That's the one with the Ultim, right? The Knife Center Special Proponent M390 Bead Blasted and the Compliance Edge Copperhead Tonto. Ooh, I love Compliance Edge. I need to get the non-ringed double edge fighter that they have with the thumb, the one that you have, Dave. I got to get that one. I could say that about most of your collection. Northern Knives, LOL, hashtag knife cat. Yeah, no kidding. I have a knife cat too. She's a sweetie. She lets me pick her up and hold her like a baby. But to pretty much everyone else, not the girls, not my wife, but to everything else, including the dog. She has the dog under her thumb. She's got 5 daggers per hand. Kay Mason says, I'm in the minority and not fond of crosslock. Let me start this over. Am I in the minority in not being fond of crossbar locks? Probably. I am. I like them. I like them, but I like button locks better. But I like them both for the same thing, for the fidget factor. I do know that bar locks. I say I do know, but I don't know this. I only know this anecdotally that a bar lock like this ram lock here on the Stitch, it's more stronger. It's more strong than a button lock. Button locks have been failed, depending on the design, they can fail somewhat easily. A crossbar lock is way less likely to fail. What did Northern Knives have up there, Jim? I just got rid of my Microtech MSI Ram Lock SIG series. Never been so conflicted on a knife before. So cool, yet so not for me. Well, I gotta say that MSI, I'm gonna be the one who says it. It's kind of ugly. It's kind of ugly. The blade is just like the whole thing is threatening, and then you get to the blade, and it's like, I'm just here to work. I'm just here to like cut cardboard. I don't know. Something about the blade is not as muscular as the rest of the knife. Doug Bowl says, if I had my whole thumb on it, I would have to be careful my hand didn't slide onto the blade. Which one? Oh, now I'm forgetting what you're talking about. But we'll get there. We'll get there. Doug, look at this one. This is also a Pinkerton. Utility, yes, but also tactical. That's what I like. The flex back and forth. Hero Stick says, surprised that inset flush pocket clip screws. Oh, okay. Gotcha. Are not an industry standard across the board. Seems like a no-brainer. Well, I mean, at this point, so many people have bitched and moaned about it, myself included. They really do. Not only do they tear up the pockets, but they actually make it difficult to get the knife in there. And we're presuming this is going into tactical pockets. And we all know tactical pocket seams are reinforced and a little bit thicker, which is going to make this even more of a pain in the cojones. Craig Vincent says, Cold Steel 8010 Tonto, a very nice looking knife, I got to say. That Tonto is beautiful. Engage 3.5. That comes in a couple of different blade shapes, right? The Recon 1, the large Luzon, the Urban Edge push dagger, Yellowbone mini trapper. So those are all Cold Steels. And now he's switching over to Spyderco with the PM2, the Shaman, and now Civivi, the Vision FG, the TRS Fang. I have no idea what that. Oh, is that the dagger? Is that dagger? And in appendix carry. I think that's what that is, the dagger. Fur Monster C. Come on back, man. Jeremy Nedro says, I love the Night Horse. Well, you're about to talk to the man who designed it. 1 Minute Knife Review said, for today, the Zero Tolerance 0562, the Small Sabenza 31, very nice, the ProTech Runt. In addition to my standard Small Elk Ridge Trapper, Microtech UTX 70, and Mini Troodon I have on every day. Oh, that's cool. That's so those two automatics are everyday carry. That's pretty cool. Benedict Odie, nice to have you here, Benedict. Carried my new Fox Sicilian by Bob Terzuola on washers. Love it. Speaking of Bob Terzuola, he is my guest on Sunday's show. Be sure to join us on Sunday for an awesome conversation with Bob Terzuola. What a cool dude. He was on the show very early on. Like he was like maybe on show number 35 or something, which was a real feather in my cap as a brand new podcast to talk to such a legend. So it was really nice to reconnect with him, talk with him again, knowing more about him, knowing more about having conversations and having Jim now producing this beautiful video show, whereas before he was producing just a beautiful audio show. So it was nice to have a redo, or a 2.0 with the great and powerful Bob Terzawilla. So be sure to check that podcast out. Rusty Hawk, nice to have you here, Rusty. I hate crossbar locks. They gum up. I could see that. They gum up too easy. Yeah. I have gotten pocket lint and in the crossbar locks and also in button locks. And you know it because when it opens, it doesn't snap out. It sort of thuds out. And you're like, I'm not hearing metal on metal, you know? And depending on what you're doing and how quickly you need to bring it into action, that could be a problem. So I hear your concern. Have a Knife Day says, carried my new rasp buoy and the Spyderco Military 2 Black Blade Veft Military 2. All right. Have a Knife Day Vefts a lot of his knives, puts those big giant Vef serration scoops on a lot of his knives. But man, I haven't seen that on a military. That's got to look crazy. Jeremy Nedro says, my cat runs the house. I have 2 American Pit Bull Terriers and they run from Rosie. She has blades and isn't afraid to use them. I love that, Jeremy. That's like my dog is a substantial size. He's half German Shepherd and then half mutt. And, I could see him being intimidating. I mean, he bares his teeth before he licks your face. He can be scary. But he's a total, he totally yields to the cat. If she's sitting in the hallway, she'll just sit in the middle of the hallway and stare at him, and he'll just and I'll kind of block her and he'll walk by. Yeah, it's sort of pathetic, but he'll stand up to any dog, but just don't be a little cat. Low Country says, carried the Resource. I don't know what that is. The Stretch 2 Straight. And by the way, that's the new Stretch 2 coming out looks really cool in the Salt series. And my 4Max Elite. Oh, that's nice. As usual in the waist. 4Max in the waist. That's a substantial size. That's a substantial chunk to put in the waistband. But I could see doing that if you have loose enough pants, which apparently over the past few weeks I have not. But I could see doing that because you get more support than if it's in your pants pocket. It's like an anchor. Excuse me. Sorry. Pardon me. Blade Ogre says the hollow grind on my Dino Spike was all done by Satu Dave. How cool. Satu made it look like a Medford with the grind, hence the Dino in front of the Spike name, Dino Spike. That's very cool. That hollow grind is so nice. In the picture you sent me, and the blue handle is gorgeous too. Low Country says Resource. Oh, yes, right. I'm like, I know this. The Resource is Dirk's new CJRB and a large chunk at that. That's a beautiful knife. Dirk, have you had what's the feedback you've had on the Resource?
Overall positive. From what Artisan has told me, it's not apparently resonating with sales. So I don't know what's going on there, but they said it's not striking the chord that they thought it would. It's still selling and selling fairly well, but they anticipated a really big response, and I'm still trying to figure out what might be the hang up, why people what they don't like about it. I don't know.
I humbly suggest it might not be what they don't like about it. It might be, my God, there are so many knives out there. How do you deal with that as a designer? When you're coming up with new stuff, there seems to be just a glut of knives, and glut is a negative term, but I mean it in a good way because I love knives. But as a designer, that must be a challenge.
It very much is. You never want to tread on someone else's intellectual property, but at the same time, when you have so much stuff going on and everybody is doing basically the same thing, because there's only so much you can do to make a practical knife. It's a design that's been around forever, so you're not reinventing the wheel. You're just tweaking it and making it look a little different. So it's hard not to encroach on someone else's work. And I worried about it for a while. Then I finally got to the point where I just stopped thinking about it, and I just moved forward with what's in my head. Because if we're being brutally honest, there is no truly original ideas. Everybody's influenced by somebody, at the very least influenced, if not in some cases outright copying. So, you move forward, you make it as much of your own as possible. And at least for me, when I can honestly say that I'm truly influenced by a design or by a designer, I will give them full credit, to the point. Jason Knight and the Kami. I mean, he's the one that pushed me in that direction when I saw that knife. The variable was inspired by Fred Perrin's LaGriff. So, it doesn't diminish, in my mind, it doesn't diminish my skills as a designer or where I come from. It just says, hey, this guy was here first and he inspired me. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, and there, you might not hear that discussion, for instance, in the culinary knife world. Now, I don't know that for sure, or in the slip joint knife world, where you have patterns that are kind of standardized, right? Like the chef's knife, the Santoku. I mean, the French chef's knife, the Santoku, the slicer, the paring knife, and you get variations with it within those patterns, or within the slip joint world. The trapper, the stockman, what have you. But for some reason, in the tactical folding knife world, or I should say modern locking folding knife world, many of which are tactical, the ones that I like, there does not seem to be any of that. There are certain blade shapes that get used, clip point, drop point, tanto, pical, what have you, but there are no patterns in that world.
Yeah, I think it's I think it has to do with the fact that the quote unquote tactical folder is such a modern concept. It's very, very new, very, very recent, and it came about at a time when everybody wanted to possess their design. They were more individualized. They weren't thinking of, hey, look, I designed a knife and everybody makes a knife and there you go. It's, no, this is my design. I own it. You have to come to me. And I think that's where that comes from as far as the tactical world. And yeah, I mean, it may sound a little mean, but there's a lot of sensitive little snowflakes out there when it comes to the designs. They think they invented, a groove or an angle or, a particular shape. Oh, look, it's a clip point that is, 1.5 inches long as opposed to 1.6, and that's mine.
Yeah.
Come on. I mean, seriously.
Yeah.
It's one thing to do a direct copy of someone's design where everything looks exactly the same. It's another thing to go, hey, the blade shape's kind of close, the handle's kind of close. We're at a point where there's just so much going on. It's you can't help but step on someone's toes somewhere, somehow. It's impossible.
Yeah. I think Pete brings up a good point. He says there may be many new, there may not be many new ideas or designs, but there is plenty of variety in style. Dirk's style is definitely recognizable and unique. And to me, what that means to me is like, yeah, you're saying like, all the design, all the knife, all of the blade designs have been created. All of the things you can do with handles have been done. All of the things you can do with surface treatment have been done. It's just a matter of how you combine them, how you reimagine them, how you it's like movies. You're talking about when I was coming up in film and video, which is what where my career has been. Everyone wanted to be Martin Scorsese, myself included. And then at a certain point you realize, oh, I'm not Martin Scorsese and I'm not making films but I can still make a career of this and have fun and, enjoy the living I make. But it's that same thing. Like And believe me, in my non-Scorsese world, I've worked with plenty of people who have fancied themselves that and have treated the material and the people they work with as if they are, Kubrick or whomever. And yeah.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. I try not to take myself too seriously. I realize what I'm doing is very niche. I'm very fortunate to be where I am. And to say that I'm very fortunate to be where I am, it's not like I'm at the top of the world making $1 million. I'm able to make enough money to pay my bills and have fun doing what I'm doing. And I am very grateful for that. And if it wasn't for Daryl Ralph basically opening the door for me and getting me in with Meyerco way back when in 2008, I don't know if I would be here talking to you right now. And so many people think that what they've done is so unique and so special that they're privileged, and you need to look to them as something as well, no, I'm special. I'm a legend, or I've earned I've earned this title. It's a knife. Come on, I mean, you're looking at a handful of people in a knife industry that you can arguably say have earned that title. Bob Turzuela, one of them, without a doubt. You can't count many more than that. Bill Moran. You could probably count on your two hands the number of people that truly have earned that title, where you give them that level of reverence. Everybody else is good, really good, and that's it. I mean, come on. Let's be honest. Don't get too full of yourself.
Yeah, I agree, but at the same time, you're speaking as one of their peers, and I am speaking as a reverent collector. Maybe reverent is not exactly the right word, but when there's something totally irrational about the amount of knives I have, so it's not something, it's not an intellect, it's not a rational pursuit. It's so I don't necessarily approach it rationally. And so I might actually put more value in the ability to make certain designs, like, to you, you're just a dude doing what he does, maybe, lucky to be making knives and doing your craft and making a living at it. But to me, you're doing something very, very special, and that's how people on my end of things see it. Courtney Nedro. Courtney, nice to have you here. I just bought my husband a Spyderco Manix 2 lightweight in Rex 45. That was a sweet purchase.
Cool. Yeah.
Those new Manix lightweights you can now disassemble, unlike the one I have in S110V, which is great. And also that Rex 45 is awesome steel. Have you worked with that, Dirk? It patinas, and I guess it's super hard and everything.
I have not worked with that yet. It's on my list of to do. I want to play with that. I always love playing with new steels, seeing what they do, seeing what I like about them, what I don't like about them. And yeah, that's definitely, we'll see what comes, what I use it for. But I'm open to suggestions. Somebody tell me, hey, what should I use Rex 45 for?
All right, I have ideas we can talk about. I have ideas. I like Rex 45. Courtney, I'm sure your husband doesn't need to hear this, but you're a keeper. That's an awesome gift. Nicely done. Low Country says it's definitely not a rational pursuit, but it's definitely a heated, obsessive one. Yeah. I've had a couple of people be real dicks in the comments recently about certain guests, and I'm like, man, what is this other than envy and a bitter resentment? No place for that here. Split and Slices says, Daryl Ralph, what a great knife maker to have as a mentor, or appreciate for/with. No doubt.
Absolutely. He was, I think we've talked about this before. He was one of those guys that was not appreciated for a lot of the things that he did, because a lot of what he did was behind the scenes. A lot of people, a lot of great makers that people idolize went to him to solve problems, because he was one of those rare individuals that could think in 3 dimensions. So you presented him with a problem and he could literally see it from all angles, where, the vast majority of us think in 2D. Okay, you only see it this way, and then you have to mentally turn it and think about it, where he could see the whole thing as one in 3 dimensions. And he could immediately spot issues and say, yeah, this is why it's not working. This is what you need to do. And I was actually lucky enough. I can't remember the maker's name. They were talking on the phone in his office several years back about working on an automatic, and it was a scale release automatic. And he was talking through with him the problem that, as he was describing, hey, Daryl, this is what's going on. This is what I'm trying to solve. And Daryl's just sitting there going, oh yeah, this is what's happening. And this is where it is. And this is where you're having the problem with engagement. And I'm thinking about this, trying to catch up with it. And I'm like, I have no clue how you're doing this, because I'm thinking, okay, he's talking about one position of the scale and how it's engaging. And I'm there. And then all of a sudden he's talking about what's going to happen as it goes through the release, and what's going to happen and how the cam that's doing the release is going to engage, and what's going to happen if it doesn't have a certain angle to it. It just blew me away that he's thinking of this on the fly in the conversation. And the guy on the other end, I wish I could remember his name, but I cannot, was like, oh, I didn't think of that. I didn't see that. Wow. Got it. Okay. And that's, I think that's one of the secrets that Daryl had, was that ability to think through things that way, that nobody ever got to see, and only the people that really knew him and worked with him could truly appreciate.
Yeah, it's like some people are, 1 Minute Knife Review says, amen, envy and jealousy are soul killers. No doubt. And since you're talking about the soul, yeah, I mean, that can really, oh man, I totally got thrown off by that. What was I about to say? Oh God. Oh, well, sorry. I was about to say something deep and profound, and then that comment threw me off. No. Oh, talent. That's what it is. It's like he has, like some people have a natural talent for designing and making knives, like you obviously do, but his talent seems like it is like an engineering talent. A very like non-religious person once told me like that he believed loosely in God, and that God gave everyone one great talent, and hopefully in life you find it, and if you don't, that's like the saddest thing ever. And to me it sounds like Daryl Ralph in this, for the sake of this conversation, it's like his gift was engineering, and then cool knives came out of it. Whereas one might go the other direction and think up really cool knives and then figure out how to engineer them,
Absolutely. Yeah, I would agree with that. That was definitely a gift of his. He came from, if I remember correctly, I don't remember the exact name of his business, but he was a machinist that made gears for very specific machinery, and I don't remember what the machinery was. And that's where he was when he transitioned into knife making. And so that kind of explains, he came out of a time frame where they were just getting into computerizing the machines. So he had the skill set of being able to do the machining by hand, by slide rule, and all those calculations.
Oh, wow.
And then he was able to transition into using CNC machines and all the computer assisted work. And he also, in that process, he unfortunately it didn't last, but he helped Camillus get into using CNC machines to try and bring them into the modern world. Unfortunately, they didn't survive.
That's too bad. We delve into this and other stuff on some of the episodes you've been on. You've been on with us a couple of times. You're on episode 49 way early, and then you've been on, I think, 2 other episodes, but we talked a bit about Daryl Ralph and his impact on you and on the knife industry and like that quiet impact.
Yeah, very much.
Oh, I'm sorry. Not Dirk, Daryl Ralph was on episode 49. I was lucky enough to talk with him. And then you've been on some of the later episodes.
Yeah, that's true.
The numbers of which I don't remember. You just have to Google it or go to TheKnifeJunkie.com, and those are all easily found. But yeah, Jim was reminding me that Daryl Ralph, we were lucky enough to have on the show. That was pre-video, and may he rest in peace. Unfortunately, he passed away 2 years back, I believe.
Yeah.
Craig Vincent says Dirk designed the proponent. One of the 43 knives I bought in my buying binge last month. It's easily my favorite. Tie Frag S35VN. How awesome that I actually have one of Dirk's knives. Hiya, Dirk.
Well, thanks, man. Hey, Craig. I appreciate that. Yeah, the proponent's been a fun one.
Yeah.
I definitely wasn't expecting it to be this long-lived. I really wasn't. I don't know what I was expecting, to be honest. I was just like, hey, cool. Somebody wants to do this knife. Excellent. And, it goes back to what I said before. I still feel it still blows me away when I hear comments like that. I honestly don't know how to respond. It will never be normal.
It's cool to think. Well, Anthony Kitchen says, I've seen at least say one thanks, Junkie, for some great episodes. Well, yeah. And it's not me. It's me asking Dirk questions and him having like interesting answers. But that just like the proponent designing that knife, it's a cool thing about that knife, like all great designs. My gift is eating pizza and drinking beer. Byron, we share the same gift, sir. You never know what designs are going to hit, and you might have some idea, like Warncliffe's and sheep's feet are always big, but like that design, the proponent, especially the large. I have two of the small ones. But the large one, I mean, that's an audacious design. That's like not for everyone. In the way like an XL Espada from Cold Steel is not for everyone. Undeniably cool, but so popular for such a big burly knife. And oddly enough, I'll say this, with my two proponents, I was shocked. I held up the blade and looked at it from the end and like, oh, this isn't a proponent, but I was like, oh, that's a wedge. Oh my God, that knife is so slicey and sharp.
Yeah.
It's weird. I don't understand how it is, because it seems like it shouldn't be, but it slices so nicely.
That's credit to Artisan. That's not my design. They did that. They nailed it. I cannot tell you what they did, if they spent time figuring it out or if it was just something that happened. I guess you could go with geometry and just say basically geometry is geometry. An angle's an angle. If you have the angles correct, it's going to work regardless of whether it's, a thousandth of an inch or, a quarter of an inch.
Right.
It's going to work. But at the same time, it still is kind of one of those things where you look at it as like, how does this cut as well as it does? It shouldn't cut this well.
Yeah.
It might shave hair, but it shouldn't go through paper so smooth. It shouldn't be this easy and have no drag or no pressure because it's such a wide blade. And that's just one of the things that they did very well. And all credit goes to them when it comes to that.
It's cool. That's always to me, that's the micro tech effect. I'm always like, this is so oblique. How's this gonna? Oh my God, it's so sharp. Like Pete Davidson says, Dirk, without naming names, have you ever been disappointed with any manufacturer's quality or execution of your design?
No.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. And unequivocally, without hesitation. That's great. Who's your favorite to work with? You don't have to say that either. No, but I mean, it seems like a great experience.
I don't have. That's the fun thing is I don't really have a favorite because everybody has been. It's been very easy to work with. No real issues. I mean, can I nitpick and say there are issues? Sure, but that comes down to silly little things that have nothing to do with the overall experience. It's just like, hey, somebody missed an email, or silly things like that. I mean,
Yeah.
wow. If that's the only thing I can complain about, geez, my life is perfect.
Yeah.
So yeah, no real complaints. I enjoy working with all of them. And I'm hoping that I can continue this journey. I have no idea how long this ride will last, and I'm trying to enjoy it as long as it does.
K Mason says, Dirk, is that a porter or a stout?
This is a stout. Declaration from Reformation Brewery in Woodstock, Georgia.
Oh, nice. Looks delicious.
It is quite delicious, and I usually load up with several cases when I go there for Blade Show.
Oh, nice. Jeremy Nedro says, I have the large proponent and always pair it with my XL Espada or Max Ace Goliath. Ooh, that's good. That's a good combo.
Perfect.
Craig Vincent, I'm still a knife newbie, Bob, yet I have both an XL Espada and a large proponent. Nicely done. There's nothing spectacular about me, so it must be the design. Oh, Craig, were you all right? You were saying that God may have ripped you off on the talent. No, I don't think so. I think it'll surface at some point, and you'll be happy it did. Who knows? Maybe it's writing poetry in your retirement years, or who knows? Maybe you're like an awesome woodworker, and you just need to be exposed. That's the thing that what if I'm a great sitar player? What if that's my talent? Like, I'm screwed. All right.
Well,
anyway,
go get a sitar.
Yeah. I'm just going to try every instrument. Low Country says, I bought the Escort. Oh, I love the Escort. And it's had 2 incarnations, right? Is that right?
Yeah.
I love the Escort within 1 minute seeing the original 20 CV first run. When it's right, it's right. And I love the first Escort too. Beautiful knives.
If I'm being brutal, really honest, I prefer the frame lock, but that's just because that was one of the first knives that I have a handful of knives that I really, really put a lot of effort into designing, where I will say, overthought the process and overthought what they were. The Escort being one of them, the Nomad being another, the Inversion being the third. And I spent a lot of time making sure it was right in the way I wanted it, and it ticked all the boxes. And so the first frame lock that Kaiser did was a flat ground, had a big choil. So that wasn't the perfect one. The second iteration, where they went to a hollow grind, smaller choil, that was the one that was the home run for me. That was perfect for me. And then an interesting thing happened. They went through their management change and did away with a lot of designs that were still selling, but they felt weren't selling well enough. So the Escort was one of those that was dropped. And then out of the clear blue, they contacted me and said, "Oh yeah, by the way, we're bringing the Escort back, and we're going to do it with the clutch lock." And at first I'm like, "What's that?" And then, "Oh yeah, it's basically a bar lock now that the axis lock patent is expired. We're going to do this, and this is what's the difference." Okay, thanks. I appreciate it, but it's still, while I like it and I think it's fantastic and I think it's a great knife, for me, in all the work I put into the Escort, is still not my perfect Escort. My perfect Escort is still the frame lock.
So I've mentioned before, I mention all the time how you make custom knives, these beautiful fixed blades. Do you make folders in-house also? Or is that
No,
something
I do
you
not.
design only?
Design only.
Okay.
I'm hoping one of these days that I will get situated and get my shop set up to where I can do folders in-house. it's just, I don't want to do it halfway. If I'm going to do it, it's going to be 100% correct. And I'm going to spend time. I'm going to talk to several folder makers, people that are known for doing good folders. I want to sit down with them, even if that's taking classes or whatever it takes to get the knowledge from them, and make sure I have my understanding correct. And I have the knowledge base I need to do folders correctly. Fixed blades are easy. I mean, when you get right down to it, it's basically you're just making a really sharp wedge, and that's it. The skill comes into grinding it and all of that. And so I'm good at grinding. I'm not going to say I'm great, but I'm confident in saying I'm pretty good at it. I have no qualms with that. But making a folder is different. There's a lot to it. You can make a folder that works, but it may not be a good folder. And I don't want to make a folder that works. I want to make a folder that when I do it, it's going to work well, and people are going to look at it and say, yeah, that's well done. He knew what he was doing when he did it.
You say you're not a great grinder. I say differently, and someone else says differently too. Sean Kendrick, when I had him on the show, man, he had nothing but glowing words for you
Well,
about your grinding. And to me, his folders they're so out of this world.
I will always maintain. I have yet to see anybody that can do a chisel grind better than Sean Kendrick. He is, in my opinion, the epitome of a chisel grind. His is just, they're ridiculous. I have seen no one compare. I've handled several. I've played with several. Hey, I'll call him out. If anybody wants to get mad at me, Emerson, no, his chisel grind's not even close.
Yeah.
Sean he nailed it. He knows what he's doing. He's got it right. He's got the touch. And they are just awesome.
Well, when you decide to take that plunge, maybe give him a call. That's what a combo that would be. Doug Bowl says, Bob, do you think fixed blades or folders are better sellers? I think folders are better sellers
by a mile.
More people have pockets. Well, I mean, everyone's got pockets, and more people are willing to drop a knife in their pocket than put one in their waistband or on their hip.
I think the industry estimate stays consistent that around all sales are roughly 80% folders.
Oh, wow. 80%.
That fluctuates, you up and down a little bit. So, you may get a little buzz where everybody wants to put a fixed blade in their pocket for a while, and that may skew it a few percentage points. But yeah, it's pretty steady at about 80%.
Maybe that changes when the bottom falls. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. We're all gonna be walking around with swords here in a few months.
That'll be fun.
This isn't a sword, but this is a cool design. The Fire Ant. So I bought this from you at Blade Show 2023.
Yep.
I guess this past year. Beautiful triple-edged sheep's foot, reverse Tonto, Warncliffe, whatever you want to call it. But this had here, I'm going to put it under the knife cam. It has a really cool arc to it, or bend, like in the center. This had a different life as a folder as well with Kaiser.
Yeah, Kaiser. Back before the great management change a few years ago, where they were looking for different designs, something that they hadn't seen before. So I threw a bunch of stuff at them: the Inversion, the Fire Ant, the Shard, the Urban Bowie, and they picked up everything I threw at them. And the one thing that I did differently with the Inversion or the Fire Ant is I sent them a prototype. The Fire Ant started life back in 2015 with HTM, and they were going to produce it as a folder under HTM, and they actually made several prototypes from the Giant, which was a 5-inch massive kind of proponent looking thing. Then the Medium, which was a 3.5-inch, and then the smaller one, which is like, I think it came in at 2 3/4, if I'm not mistaken. So I sent the prototype of the 2 3/4 because that's all I had to Kaiser just as a reference. And the original intent was to do the 3 1/4, 3.5. We were discussing the appropriate range. That was supposed to be the first one. And in the midst of that discussion, that's when management changed. So they had the prototype of the small, and they just made the small one. Did a good job on it. I mean, it was an exact replica. I wanted to make some changes. So apparently in that transition, they lost some of the notes. So none of the changes were made. They just made it as is. And we never got to see the larger version, which in my opinion was where the fire ant shines in that 3.5 inch range, plus or minus a 1/10 of an inch.
So Jim, can you put that last comment back up if you don't mind? Acid Test Kid says, I missed out on the Kaiser fire ant. Great design. I agree. Different design, but might scratch a similar itch. One of my absolute favorites of your designs. We talked about this a lot the last time you came on. This is the Contact by Asymmetrical. That's the Beyond EDC's sort of mid-range premium, if you will, line. And this titanium S35VN, awesome utility knife with that quote unquote reverse tanto. I hate that term, but I'm starting to use it more because I guess I get it. And titanium S35VN, great action on bearings. This is one of the few 3 1/4 inch blades that I give a pass, like the Yojimbo. Like, I like knives that are larger, but this just is one of my favorites. This knife just fires on all cylinders for me. So if you love the fire ant but feel like it got away from you, this might be an interesting alternative for you.
Yeah, I think it's definitely lives in the same family as the fire ant. When we talked about earlier, I mentioned I was kind of thinking with the raised tip of a Peshkab's kind of inspiration behind it. Bringing the tip up. No, I'm not the first one to do that kind of a thing, but when I was thinking of the design, that's what inspired me to raise the tip as opposed to looking to someone else that had already done it. And I was trying to come up with a way to do an actual Peshkab's with that very intriguing tapered blade shape, where it comes from a point and then slowly tapers down, and then you have a very dramatic drop. I couldn't get a way to make it work correctly in a folder, at least not one that would be easily produced. So I compromised and changed some things around, and that's where we came up with this, and it turned out really well. I was really, really happy with it. It's very ergonomic. It's got a very neutral handle. The angle of the edge, the blade allows it to be used for a multitude of things. So you can use it for easy cutting, on a hard surface. It's great for penetration. It ticks a lot of boxes.
Reverse Pikal.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It has that reach, that forward reaching angle that a Pikal has. This thing,
without a doubt.
I love this knife. I would say that this is, well, I don't know. I'm just saying that because it's in my hand and I love it. But I was gonna say, I'd say this is one of your best designs. But I mean, it's one of my favorites. Let me just put it that way. And there it is next to the fixed blade fire ant. Another one that just triple edge. All knives should be triple edged.
I don't necessarily disagree with that. I think more edges tend to be better in many situations. Obviously, not all situations, but in many situations. And you and Dave actually inspired several fire ant orders to be triple edged. So,
cool. Hey, so let me ask. We're about to wrap here, but let me ask you this question. As I was talking about you before, I was mentioning how you are inspired by, and you were just talking about the Peshkab's, and you're inspired by all of these knives that have left huge impacts historically and culturally. What what knives from history or from any given culture are you looking to take on next, to turn into either a folder design for a license or a fixed blade that you make in your shop? What kind of knife are you looking to do next?
Well, I had kind of a dead spot for a while. Nothing was jumping out at me, and then there was a post on Instagram. I think Spyderco did the post, and they showed the old. Oh, I can't remember the name of it now. It's the I believe it's the I pronounce it correctly, Shibiri. Oh gosh, what is it? It's the kind of the recurved
Oh,
knife from
turkey.
the Israeli guy designed, the doctor from Israel. I can't think of the name of it.
Okay.
But I started looking at that design, and when I saw that post, I started thinking about what he was trying to design, and what it looked like to me was a not a conjar, but a conjarly, which was basically a kind of a recurved conjar, a bit like the Vaquero or the El Hombre from Cold Steel.
Okay. Yeah.
That's kind of tickled something in my head, so I'm kind of playing around with some ideas with that.
It's like a Yatagan kind of.
A bit, yeah. Yatagan's kind of, being more of a short sword to actual sword. They vary in their how much of a recurve they have. Sometimes they're very, very subtle and almost non-existent, and sometimes they're very extreme. So yeah, it's in that same kind of vibe, that feel of that recurve. And I want to try and come up with something that we can do in a folder with that.
That sounds awesome. I'll be there for it. I love recurves. Split and Slices says, thanks, Bob, Jim, Dirk, for the stream and the inversion giveaway. Great show. Someday hope to meet all of you at Blade, but not this year for me. Well, Byron, then let's make it 2025, sir.
There you
We
go.
will see you there. Stephen Clayton Jr., good evening, Knife Junkies. Good evening to you, sir. I hope you had a fine evening. If you're just joining us, we had a great show. Be sure to check it on the rerun. Great stream, says Northern Knives. Thanks so much for the info and candidness, Dirk. That's cool.
Thank you.
These guys are great up there in Anchorage, Alaska. Northern Knives, they're awesome. We did a giveaway with them last week, so I'm very grateful. Thank you, Dirk, so much for giving us this ringed inversion, this beautiful new knife from you. We are so thrilled to be giving this away to, who are we giving this to? I forgot. I guess it must be mine. Just kidding, Michael. This will be going out post haste. I'll get that in the mail to you. So thank you so much, Dirk. We greatly appreciate your joining us.
You're very welcome, and I appreciate you having me on. I had a good time.
Anytime. We'd love to see you back. Low Country, have a good night. Everyone out there, have a great night. For Jim, who is working in the shadows, as JVF said. I want to thank him for working his magic and making this show look so great, and bringing Dirk in, flawlessly directing, breaking the fourth wall there for you, Jim. Have a good one. All right, everyone, have a great night. Take care. And remember, don't take dull for an answer.